We're talking R34 GT-Rs today. We're at Toprank Vehicle Imports, and they're the experts in bringing in GT-Rs from Japan. We're going to be talking to Sean Morris, who's going to explain to us the only 3 legal ways to drive a Nissan Skyline R34 GT-R in the USA. You're watching Fast Cross.
Hi, I'm Sean Morris from Toprank Importers here in Cypress, California. Well, Toprank imports cars from Japan, mostly stuff over 25 years old, because those are kind of the most interesting cars to import. We can do other stuff, we can import cars from other countries, but mostly from Japan. So the 3 cars that are here, there's 3 different ways to legally import R34 GT-Rs to the US. One of them is a race car, the other one would be show or display, and the third way was MotoRex, which existed from '99 to about 2006. So behind me are 3 special US legal R34 GT-Rs. We have the race car, we have a show or display car, and we have a MotoRex car. So the race car version was actually raced in Japan. It's a permanent race car. It was legally imported to the US as a race car. Has NHTSA and EPA approval, and it's one of the legal ways to do it. If it's a race car, it doesn't have to be 25 years old, but you do have to have the significance of the vehicle. You do have to usually have a manufacturer's letter stating it was built as a race car. You have to show them that the car has features that make it not suitable for road use. It's real specific, and obviously you have legal implications if you try to convert an ex-race car into a street car. And a car that you drive on track is not a race car. A race car means that it was raced professionally in a series, that you're bringing it into the US, that you're racing it in some other kind of series. And it requires quite a bit of legwork in order for you to have a race car legally here in the States. So show or display is a kind of what they call the Bill Gates law, where basically he had his 959 Porsche and he wanted to import that to the US. But they weren't able to bring them into the US. They didn't want to do the crash testing. They didn't want to do any of the other things required in order to bring the car into compliance. So what they did is they managed to get through the NHTSA, and it's significant that it's just the NHTSA, an exemption. So show or display allows you to bring certain historically or technologically significant vehicles into the US. And you can, or you may or may not be allowed to use those on the road. And so it was like the 959, the McLaren F1, the Bugatti EB110. I actually got my Nismo R32 GT-R. I got that show or display approved back in 2012. Generally less than 500 cars made, historically or technologically significant, and not the same as something that was already sold in the US. And then again, part of that, not exclusive to that, is that you can possibly drive it up to 2,500 miles a year. And so, of course, people will say, oh, I'm going to drive it more than that, or that doesn't work for me, and that's correct. This show or display rule is only for a very special set of cars, a special set of owners. So this silver R34 was originally imported by MotoRex, and actually the original owner of it was Paul Walker. MotoRex was a company, they were a registered importer. So basically they registered with the NHTSA, and they were able to modify and bring cars into compliance with US Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards. In addition to that, there was also another side, which is EPA requirements. But on the NHTSA side, because that's mostly what most people deal with and talk about, on the NHTSA side, originally, so MotoRex was around 98 to about 2006. They did crash testing on Skylines, on R33s. And actually, when they very first started doing the crash testing, the R34 wasn't even released. And so when it was released, that information, the information about the R34 and some of the other mods and all that stuff was submitted to the NHTSA. And there's something called substantially similar, which is basically cars are very alike, one car to the other. Things like headlights, fenders, even hoods and bumpers and stuff like that aren't part of the crash structure. Those are, the NHTSA just looks at those as just kind of gloss items. And so they said, you know, R34, R33 are substantially similar. MotoRex was a registered importer. They imported cars. How I know so much about MotoRex is I worked at MotoRex from '99 to 2002. They imported about 15 R34 GT-Rs. This is one of the 15 cars. So the cars that MotoRex imported, some people say, oh, they got seized or something happened. No, that's not true. Actually, at the end of MotoRex, even though some cars weren't brought into compliance, they were actually allowed, they're grandfathered in. There was a letter from the NHTSA that said even if the modifications weren't done to bring them into compliance, the NHTSA basically just exempted them. The three ways to legally have, own, import, drive, you know, some of it is car specific, are as follows: is we have the race car, we have the show or display car, and we have a MotoRex car. So those are the three different ways you can have R34 GT-Rs legally in the US. Illegally, there's lots of ways, lots of things people do. But legally, those are the three ways, at least until they turn 25 years old, 2024.